Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Umefiza Ablo from People's Medical University of Nawabshah, and my presentation topic is keratoconjunctivitis sicca, which in layman language is also known as dry eye syndrome. Clinical condition in which tear film is disturbed homeostatically. Now either it's due to lack of production of any of the layers of the tear film or due to excessive evaporation of the aqueous layer. Right now, my focus is on normal anatomy and physiology of the tear film. When we're taking a small section from here, we can see here cornea, which is triple layered stratified epithelium lying onto the basement membrane denoted with the blue color. Then starts tear film. Now the apical cell layer of the cornea along with the mucus layer of the tear film make up a mucoadhesive complex as a protective mechanism against bacteria. Now, that's only because this apical cell layer has glycocalyxes. Now we have tear film. Tear film has mucus layer which is contributed by goblet cells of conjunctiva in fornix, which has functions of lubrication of cornea, conversion of hydrophobic surface into hydrophilic surface for adhesion of the aqueous layer, and some mechanism against bacteria. Second layer is the aqueous layer, which is the thickest most layer, and it is contributed 95% by main lacrimal glands and 5% by accessory lacrimal glands, with the function of oxygen and nutrient supply, since cornea itself is an avascular structure. And it also washes out the debris and leukocyte right after inflammation. Then we have third most layer, which is the lipid bilayer with inner polar and outer non-polar part contributed by Meibomian's glands, with the function of reduction of surface tension and evaporation of the aqueous layer and lubrication of the eyelids. Causes of dry eye, use of contact lens. Normally when we blink, it causes a spread of tear film all over the ocular surface. But when one is wearing contact lens, the tear film fluid underneath the lens is not getting replaced efficiently, and debris gets accumulated, leaving behind cornea oxygen deprived, which can lead to cause hypertrophy of corneal epithelial cells, total decreased thickness of cornea, as well as damage to the cell membrane, making it vulnerable for many pathogens to get attached with the glycocalyxes of the apical layer of the cornea. For example, Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Trachoma, many other viral and fungal species as well. Frequent flying. Air cabins are set to such a pressure and temperature that's not favorable for normal eye, so can lead to cause dry eye. Aging decreases the glandular secretion. Then smoke, so not just active smoke but also the passive smoke or the industrial smoke, industrial chemicals, toxins, radiations can cause dry eye. We have hormonal changes. Now since we know that estrogen and progesterone causes glandular secretions, so these four conditions basically decreases the estrogen levels, which may decrease lacrimal gland secretion. Increased screen timing can also cause dry eye. Underlying medical condition, for example diabetes mellitus, which can cause restricted blood flow towards the nerves which are supplying lacrimal gland and hence affects their secretion. Then we have Stevens-Johnson syndrome. It's a hypersensitivity reaction characterized by painful blisters on skin as well as on the mucous membrane, and since we all know that conjunctiva itself is a mucous membrane, so any damage to conjunctiva can also damage goblet cells which are contributing mucous layer. Any benign or malignant growth can cause lacrimal gland obstruction and hence its secretion is affected. Any infection that could be bacterial, viral or fungal can cause dry eye. Sjogren syndrome, it's an autoimmune destruction of salivary glands and lacrimal glands in the primary condition, but if it's secondary condition, it can have association of many other systems. For example, in other autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, systematic lupus erythematosus and Graves' disease. The sarcoidosis is a multifactorial disease primarily affecting lungs but can also affect skin and eyes. Graves' disease is also an autoimmune disease, may cause thyroid ophthalmopathy characterized by retraction of eyelids with orbital and periorbital swelling, which makes it difficult for subject to blink. Okay, clinical features. सो बाज़ ये होता है कि मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स इतनी सारी डिजीज़ एंड कंडीशंस पढ़ चुके होते हैं कि साइन एंड सिम्टम्स एट द टाइम ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन हम भूल जाते हैं. So here's explanation of each symptom. So we have burning and foreign body sensation, redness, photophobia, that's sensitivity to light, decreased visual acuity, mucus discharge, and pain. Now since cornea is richly innervated, much number of the terminals of receptors, these are basically mechanoreceptors detecting touch and pain. But 10 to 15% of these receptors are for detection of temperature and osmolarity changes, which can cause and monitor the basal secretion for tear film maintenance. So on cellular level, when there is increase in osmolarity, it triggers the inflammation, which upregulates the transcription of cytokines and metalloproteinases for degradation and deposition of extracellular matrix. Alongside with that, it also causes internal and external osmotic gradient change, moving all the water content and some important ion content out from the cells in the extracellular spaces, leaving behind shrunken cells and giving it appearance of fine superficial punctate keratitis. Now these 2 points are having a significant importance with upcoming slides of science. So signs. So mucus and degenerated corneal epithelium collectively make up mucoid filaments, giving it appearance of filamentary keratitis. This. Then we have posterior blepharitis, since we all know that meibomian glands lie in the tarsal plate. This is the inflammation of the tarsal plate which can lead to cause dysfunctioning of meibomian glands. Then we have presence of mucus and debris in conjunctiva, and then reduced tear volume in tear meniscus. You can see decreased thickness of the tear meniscus between these two tiny red lines. Diagnosis. Breakup time test. In breakup time test, we look for stability of the tear film, and then we observe the breaks in the tear film. If these breaks took less than 5 seconds to show up, then we say that it's a dry eye. Normally it's 10 seconds or more than 10 seconds for the normal eye. We have Schirmer's test. In Schirmer's test, we use Whatman filter paper, which is having minimum of 5 millimeters of reading. If tear production is less than 6 millimeter, we consider it dry eye. Impression cytology, which is a non-invasive conjunctival biopsy. Then we have staining, epithelial staining, that we've been using for ocular diseases diagnosis. Fluorescent dye is basically orange red in color, but on cobalt blue light it gives bright green appearance, and it is commonly used in ocular diseases diagnosis. Then we have rose bangle staining and lysamine green. Okay, so treatment. In conservative treatment, so basically dry eye की treatment mainly symptomatic होती है, और हम लोग mostly topicals से ही उसे बेहतर बनाते हैं. So with the drops, with the cellular composition of methyl cellulose, polyethylene glycol, polyvinyl alcohol, some gels, ointments, eyelid spray with chemical composition of hypochlorous acid and boric acid eye wash. ये आजकल इतना frequent use नहीं होता. Then vitamin A as an antioxidant agent, and anti-inflammatory topicals like steroids, fluorometholone, cyclosporin, ये भी drops form में आता है, and omega-3 fish oil, flaxseed oil. Then we can give oral tetracyclines. We can also prefer contact lenses like soft silicone rubber lens, and in surgical treatment we do punctal plugging, which reduces the drainage of the tear film by blocking the canaliculi. This is only into the patients who have lack of production of tear film. So this was all about. Hope you like it. Thank you.